Hello everyone, this is Colin Worcester, spiritual guide and medium, doing a 4-card tarot reading for Tuesday, September 18th, 2018. Like I usually do, I'm using different decks to create this reading. I'm using 4 different tarot card decks. We have the Dragon Tarot, the Gilded Tarot, the traditional Smith Rider-Waite Tarot, and the Good Tarot. And this is a really interesting reading, and I'm really excited about it. I love the way it came out. So a lot of folks who do oracle card readings and tarot card readings recommend using one single deck, the same deck by the same people who created it, the same artist, to pull all the cards for the reading. And for me, this is because, and I understand that perspective. I think it's a very valid perspective because each deck I found has its own language. The people who created it and the artist, the imagery, if there's a guidebook, the way the guidebook writes the explanations of the cards and their meanings, it's sort of its own language. And so if you do a multi-card reading with the same deck, basically you're pulling different cards that mean different things, but it's all spoken in the same language. I really love, my whole life I've loved smashing things together that don't necessarily fit, or putting things together that people wouldn't ordinarily put together. And so I love using different card decks for my readings. But one thing that happened in this reading is if you use different tarot card decks, so they're all following basically the same tarot structure, one thing that can happen when you use multiple decks that can't happen if you're just using one is you get you pull the same card more than once. And it's still, the odds of that happening are pretty low, but it can happen. And it happened here with the 5 of Swords and the 5 of Air. The 5 of Swords from the Gilded Tarot and the 5 of Air from the Good Tarot. And just to let you know, in some decks, some tarot decks use different names for the 4 suits. So the traditional deck, which is the Dragon Tarot, Gilded Tarot, and the Smith Rider-Waite Tarot all use the same 4 suits of swords, wands, cups, and pentacles. The Good Tarot uses the elemental suits, so it's air, fire, water, and earth. But air and swords are the same, so this is the same card. This is 5 of Swords, 5 of Air, this is the same card. So we actually have the same card in 2 different positions here. And really, in terms of what I asked for here, I just asked for anyone who wants to connect with this reading. I just asked Spirit to show us whatever we need to know. So I didn't get specific about timeline or anything, but this does sort of show me a chronology. There is sort of a timeline here that comes out of these cards if I look at them. And what's interesting is I feel like these 2 cards, to me, everybody interprets the tarot cards a little differently. To me, and I'm still learning, frankly. I have a lot to learn about the tarot, so there's people out there who are experts on the tarot who, could definitely have a different opinion, and that may be valid. But my understanding of the 5 of Swords, 5 of Air is it's a really interesting card because, well, we'll get into it when I start going through it. Anyway, let's start out with the 10 of Swords. So the 10 of Swords here from the Dragon Tarot. Let me put it a little closer so you can see. You see the 10 swords configured in this kind of menacing way with the dragon kind of wound, his neck is wound over the top of them there. So traditionally the 10 of Swords is in the Rider-Waite, Smith Rider-Waite deck, the traditional tarot. It's a man on the ground with all 10 swords sticking in his back, and it traditionally means that you basically have had your butt kicked in some way or other. But for me, this card here, it does mean that there's been a difficult situation. It's one where there was struggle or conflict or difficulty, even pain, perhaps emotional pain or mentally pain over it. And this situation didn't necessarily end how we wished it would have, but I think for me in the 10 of Swords, there's also a positive meaning that the difficult situation is over, and it may not have turned out the way we wanted it to, but we did our best, and now we get to move on because that situation is over. So then moving on to the 5 of Swords. Now this is the card that has come up twice here. I apologize, I'm on a busy street where we have sirens a lot, if you're hearing that. So we have the card twice, but I almost feel like with the imagery from the 2 different artists, the meaning of the card is kind of split in the chronology. So the 5 of Swords, 5 of Air, it means victory to a certain extent. You'll see this man who's like a soldier sort of claiming victory with his 5 swords here. And there's these defeated and possibly killed or wounded men lying on the ground or kneeling on the ground in the background. And so one meaning of this card is a victory, but at great cost. There's been loss, there's been people abandoning him, or he's lost fellow soldiers, or he and his men have had to kill soldiers on the other side, or perhaps both. So it's about victory, but at a great cost. Like there's been loss, there's been abandonment. And so I feel like that one meaning of the card is really contained in this card, in this reading, because we see the wounded man, the dead man in the background. We see this sort of victorious soldier. So I really feel like that is the victory at great cost meaning. The other meaning, I think, is more heavily embodied in the good tarot version over here. And so we'll get to that in a moment. So really difficult situation we've come through, really didn't go the way we wanted to. We feel kind of defeated, but it's over and we get the chance to start whatever the next phase is. And this is sort of indicating that there was a victory out of this difficult situation. As much as it may seem contradictory, but us fighting the good fight, doing what we thought we were supposed to do, doing our best, there is a victory in that. We do get lessons, we do get wisdom, we do get experience from that. And so, but there was some difficulty, there was some pain, some loss, some abandonment. Okay. Now we get the Star card, which is one of the major arcana in the tarot. And for me, this is talking about, this can have somewhat of a negative connotation too, but I feel like here in this reading, it's about the aftermath of this. It's about the hope, the healing, there's new paths of water here. So there's new ideas, new paths coming in we can follow, and and the stars in the sky to guide us. So there's guidance. So it's like kind of like we've been through a rough time. We've lost. We've had some difficulty. We've gotten some wisdom, but it was a difficult road to walk. And now we're coming through, and the clouds are parting, and it's going to be a brighter day. And there's hope, and there's new beginnings, and we can be encouraged that we're going to be on a new path with guidance, and it's going to be really great. And I feel like the tree, with the bird in the background, kind of symbolizes this sort of like we're on our way to better things, brighter, happier things. And so the 5 of Air over here, even though this is the same card as the 5 of Swords, I feel like this is really emphasizing the real positive meaning of it is, and it does mean that we're parting ways with something, but I feel like it means we're parting ways with this old situation that didn't work out, or maybe that's some difficult people we had to contend with, and we've kind of disconnected from them, or they've disconnected from us. A lot of times this is the 5 of Swords is, people left us, behind, but basically what these 2 cards are saying is this is a good thing. It may not have been pleasant. There may be some sadness or some discomfort around losing these people or losing these things or activities that aren't working for us anymore. But by letting go, we have a new beginning, and we have a new start, and we have a fresh start. And you can see the figure in this card is like a masked fairy woman on a tightrope, and she's walking this new way, and she has all these beautiful, again, we have the bird symbolized here, and then we have birds here, and she's walking almost dancing on the tightrope among the clouds in her new path. So I think what I get out of this card is we've accepted the difficulty that happened with people or situations or activities that were no longer working for us, that we kind of struggled with and contended with, but now we've accepted that those things had to leave our lives, and we had to move on and start a new chapter, and now we're filled with hope and optimism to start a new chapter. So it's really a great message here. I'm really excited about this. I hope this has been helpful to you. If you've connected with it, I hope it gave you something that was helpful for your life. If you would like a private reading with me, you can go to my website, which is colinworcester.com. It's down in the comments, or on Instagram. It's on my profile. On YouTube and Facebook, it should be in the comments. And so you can feel free to set up a reading with me there. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.